Richmond, 96 double. Hot, hot.
99.7 KRED.
Tell you, man, you leading the league in hydration.
Aurora.
I've eaten burritos bigger than you.
This is Running Wild with Brandon Jackson.
That's the only thing I hate about game day, dog. Like, you gotta go like 6-7 hours without eating.
Run Wild, Red Foxes fans. This is Brandon Jackson, 99.7 KRED in Aurora, Colorado, to talk your Red Foxes football with you for the upcoming week as we stay at home for the last game of the season. It's senior week, everybody, as the Red Foxes will, funny enough, be going up against the Red Wolves of Arkansas State. How are we all doing today? I'm a bit on edge after last week's game. I want to get into it, but first I want to get this week is kind of the small stuff. Get this out of the way first. No new commits this week. From what I heard from Al Weddle's visit to Kansas, that apparently not very good, though Kansas is still number one on his list. Aurora still right in that battle to bring in the fullback. And then Mashburn, in his travels to Arizona, has actually found an athlete that he really likes there, Matt Grigsby, from Glendale, Arizona. I'm not really sure how much of a chance he honestly has at him, but figured, hey, let's go ahead and take a look at him since no one else has offered to him quite yet, and see if we can make some sort of last-minute push to maybe try to get him in and have him join the recruiting class. From what I hear, a top-tier athlete in the nation, not just in Arizona, but to help with that pipeline and build up Arizona, he figured, hey, let's get our name down there, go after this guy, see if we can maybe make some ground at his high school and begin to funnel in commits that way so that we can start blocking out schools like Arizona State and Arizona down there. So let's go ahead and talk about this Arkansas State game. Not the Arkansas State game, the New Mexico State game against the Aggies, a game that I thought for sure we would have won, and won convincingly, and that did not happen. Ended up taking a loss 35-28. And the big thing everybody's talking about are the two drops in the end zone and past the first down marker by Brian Swift on two of the last four plays. For anybody who's asking if there's any questions about who the quarterback is this week, Mashburn does not have a problem with Gaines and would want to start him this week. However, the wrist is still an issue, as he sustained a dislocated wrist from a few weeks ago. Still having some issues with it, as we saw with the accuracy trouble in that game. He's actually going to go ahead and rest this one out. Freshman Zach Leventhal is actually going to come in place and start this game, and there may be a little bit of rotation with him and D'Souza for the upcoming game. So that should be a little interesting. Let's see how the Red Foxes offense runs with the both of them taking turns on offense. But again, this was another game where I felt like they could win it. They could win it, and the defense got turnovers. You had Dante Devine score yet again on a pick six. And again, they stuck in another game where they just stuck in it to the end. But this time at the end, it just all fell apart because of an overthrow and then two just inexcusable drops. Same guy, Brian Swift. I just so frustrated. And, I know that there's a lot of the rest of the game that we can talk about because New Mexico State was beating them pretty bad up until Aurora decided to make a furious comeback towards the end there. And it's so disappointing to see that they were driving so fiercely towards the end of that game, and to lose like that, it absolutely I felt sick to my stomach watching that. And Mashburn actually, when I talked to him about it, said that had they have scored, he'd have actually gone for two because he had that much confidence in his team to be able to score after they had pretty much just driven down the field twice and done so. They wanted to just put the Aggies away, get it over with, not have to deal with overtime, and secure that fifth win of the season. So let's go ahead and jump into the questions, because a lot of the questions that you guys have are going to coincide with what happened with this game. And the big one obviously being about Brian Swift. But the first question I want to get to actually has nothing to do with Brian. It comes from Angry Guy 7000, appropriate name. Is there any reason Mashburn didn't bench Timberlake after either of his fumbles, while neither was recovered by New Mexico State? His lack of ball security today could have been disastrous. Will Swift face a demotion? Well, actually, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I forgot about the second part of this question. Will Swift face a demotion this week due to his untimely drops during the game? Hashtag Run Wild. Run Wild indeed. There's actually another question that ties in with the question about Timberlake, but it's actually the other way around. This one from Karsten Dag saying people may point to Swift because he dropped TDs, but Mashburn needed to give the ball to Timberlake more than 7 times during the game. The guy just dropped 200 and a loss and only gets 7 carries. Well, to bounce back off on Angry Guy 7000's question, to tie this all together, the fumbles were part of the reason why Mashburn stopped going to the run game and stopped going to Timberlake. He was a little concerned about ball security, and it seemed like the best way that they were driving up and down the field was going through the passing game. It is strange to see that a team that has been very successful on the ground go to the air, 42 times, I believe is what Gaines threw in that game. 42 is a ridiculous number. But that was a part of the reason, was that the fumbles were concerning enough that he decided to rely more on Gaines' arm rather than Timberlake's feet and allowing that run game to really get going. That may change this upcoming week. They may focus a little bit more on the run game if they're planning on going Leventhal and D'Souza at quarterback. But I can say that was mainly the reason why there wasn't a huge focus on the run game this week. But yes, Mashburn was concerned, but he didn't feel like he needed to bench Timberlake. Because let's not forget, Timberlake, like the other question said, Timberlake is the best runner on that team. He gets yards. He makes plays. He is the leading receiver. He is the leading rusher. You can't bench your best guy and expect to win. So that was the reason why. And then will Swift face a demotion this week? Yes, he will. He will actually not be in the lineup this week when the wide receivers come out, especially if they go 5 wide. Brian Swift is not going to be there. Instead, they're going to look at their options. From what I've heard in practice, they're going to go ahead and try to give a 6'3 receiver that they have kind of waiting in the wings, and they're going to give him a shot early on here. Javier Concepcion for this last game this week, and see how that goes. He's 6'3", 200 pounds. Going to see how he goes this week. I don't know too much about him. He's still a little raw from what Mashburn has told me, but we'll see how it goes and see if he even gets a shot or gets any throws this week. By the way, yes, if you're listening to the show and watching online, you'll see the practices going on there. Remember, if you want your questions answered, don't forget to drop them in the comment section below. We'll also be talking about awards for the end of the year right afterwards. So let's go to the next question. Oh, yeah, HGT Sun, same question about Brian Swift getting demoted. I did answer it. Run Wild, though, wanted to acknowledge it here. Let's see, what else do we have here as I'm looking through? Okay, a lot of these questions actually coincide with one another, so I actually take these 3 questions kind of back, I suppose. Big Dog C28. Yo, Brandon, those 2 passing attempts on 2nd and 3rd down were the perfect opportunities to likely send the game to overtime. But what do you think Mashburn will say about the inaccurate passing by Gaines and the missed wide open opportunity receiving by Swift? For example, just think that Swift pulled a Jackie Smith in the Super Bowl. Aurora lost a chance to avoid a losing season, maybe a chance for bowl eligibility. Hashtag Run Wild from the 205, Birmingham, Alabama. And that question kind of coincides with Owen Klein's question about Gaines' inaccuracy problems. Do you think other QBs will get more playing time? He's from Richfield Springs, New York. And then Nate the Show, who also brought it up about any other receivers being on the roster, and him saying, can we please stop seeing Swift drop passes? Well, as mentioned, yes, Mashburn is benching Swift, and that Gaines will not be playing this week. So, I mean, it gives Zach Leventhal a chance, a guy that we haven't really gotten a lot of time to really see. And it's kind of strange to see that Aurora in its first season, despite having a 4-7 record right now, has kind of played carousel at quarterback. You'd think that they maybe be a little bit more firm in it, but no. So now we're getting another chance to. I would imagine Gaines during the second year, or I guess season 2 for the Red Foxes next year, would have a more firm grasp at starting quarterback. But honestly, I don't know anymore. The injuries are a big concern. Then you have Mike Hayes coming in. I don't know if Mashburn's going to redshirt him or start him right away. I don't know. What if Leventhal shows out? It turns out to be actually develop a lot faster than expected. I mean, he takes the role. What if D'Souza, who's been really good and gets this running game going very well, ends up taking over the role? I have so many questions about the quarterback position, and I have the same concerns that a lot of you guys have. And I think during the offseason, we're going to have a lot of those questions answered. So I would kind of hang tight on any questions about Gaines or the quarterback position until we actually get there. I think that covers the questions for this week. I'm going to take a quick little short break here. By the way, also on the website, if you go into our little description where the video is at, we're going to leave a poll up here for top players of the year. It's a whole award system. You guys get to pick who were the top Red Foxes this year and who deserves the awards. Go ahead, just vote in that little, when you follow the link, go ahead and vote there. Make your voice heard, and then on the next show, we'll go ahead and name the winners and show some of the best plays as we recap the year. So we've got an interesting opponent next week in Arkansas State, a team that has gotten to a few bowl games and is actually a pretty decent team overall. I think they are about around the same level as a team like, maybe not as good as Western Kentucky, but I think about like among that tier and echelon of top teams in the Sun Belt Conference. So it should be an interesting matchup and a nice way to kind of send off the seniors this year. Hopefully they get a lot more playing time. I hear that's in Mashburn's plans to go ahead and let them get some playing time for their time and contributions on the team. But we'll see how that all goes. We'll talk a little bit more about it in a bit. This is 99.7 KRED, Aurora. Be right back.